All right. Well, the panel called Ready for Brain Transparency at the Davos World Economic Forum made us pretty nervous. We talked about this last week in case you missed it. With good reason, it is the stuff of dystopic nightmares. Now, if you missed it, last week we went over the most concerning panels at Davos before it began, just by the description. And we tried to figure out all the rebranding of the nefarious things that they talked about. I'm going to just remind you, this is what we came up with for their bad guy terminology, basically. So let's just quickly go over the vocabulary, because I want you to say that you heard it here first.
Okay.
When people start to use these words in a way that's empowering, and you can say, oh, I'm calling BS on that. That sounds like a control mechanism. So again, it's not a new world order. It's
a new government order. No, what is it?
We went over this.
I know. I'm sorry.
Reglobalization.
Thank you, Philip. Okay. All right.
Okay.
It's not, mind control. It's
Brain transparency.
yes. Thank you. It's not controlling your movement. It's in your car. It's a
Battery passport.
battery passport. Okay. And it's not warmongering in Ukraine. It's a
Peace program.
peace plan. Okay. Now you know the language. You can
Got it.
listen for it, everybody.
The language is rubbing off.
Philip got an A. Okay. Philip got an A. Let's see if we can
I still don't
upload
think those
more
grades-
stuff.
Young back then.
I still don't. We were so young back then. Last week. Yeah. It was 10 pounds ago last week.
All right, let's see if we can upload more stuff into Philip's brain. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
We're going to talk about brain transparency, not to be confused with mind control. Here is how the panel told us it can work in our everyday lives. This is terrifying. Watch.
You're in the zone. Even you can't believe how productive you've been. Your memo is finished, your inbox is under control, and you're feeling sharper than you have in a decade. Sensing your joy, your playlist shifts to your favorite song, sending chills up your spine as the music begins to play. You glance at the program running in the background on your computer screen and notice a now familiar sight that appears whenever you're overloaded with pleasure. Your theta brainwave activity decreasing in the temporal regions of your brain. You mentally move the cursor to the left and scroll through your brain data over the past few hours. You can see your stress levels rising as the deadline to finish your memo approached, causing a peak in your beta brainwave activity right before an alert popped up, telling you to take a brain break. But what's that unusual change in your brain activity when you're asleep? It started earlier in the month. You send a text message to your doctor with a mental swipe of your cursor. Could you take a quick look at my brain data? Anything to worry about? Your mind starts to wander to the new colleague on your team, whom you know you shouldn't be daydreaming about, given the policy against intra-office romance. But you can't help fantasizing just a little.
What the?
But then you start to worry that your boss will notice your amorous feelings when she checks your brain activity and shift your attention back to the present.
That's probably
You
okay.
breathe a sigh of relief when
Wow.
the email she sends you later that day congratulates you on your brain metrics from the past quarter, which have earned you another performance bonus. You head home jamming to the music with your work-issued brain-sensing earbuds still in. When you arrive at work the next day, a somber cloud has fallen over the office. Along with emails, text messages, and GPS location data, the government has subpoenaed employees' brainwave data from the past year. They have compelling evidence that one of your coworkers has committed massive wire fraud. Now, they're looking for his co-conspirators. You discover they are looking for synchronized brain activity between your coworker and the people he has been working with. While you know you're innocent of any crime, you've been secretly working with him on a new startup venture. Shaking, you remove your earbuds.
What the?
Yeah.
Whoa. Now, I want to know,
So
does
you wanna
Toby across the aisle
respond to
get a
that?
notification that she's like microaggressing him from across the room? Like, does he pick up on her brain waves because they're aimed at him and he's like, you get a notification, hey, the girl across the way is thinking about you and she's mentally picturing you with no shirt on.
It's like like mental Tinder.
I'm worried about I'm worried about that mental cursor they talked about, because like in situations like that, like, is it just going to pop up porn on your laptop? If like, it's like somebody with ADHD, like I don't want my brain controlling a computer because I don't know what would happen. It'd be
Right.
like, what are you thinking about?
Think how many you're thinking so many thoughts every second, and then men we're thinking about thinking about sex all the time, right? So we're like, okay, I'm thinking about mountains. I've got work to do. I'm thinking about women. I'm thinking about like I don't know, bikinis.
Like,
boom. Then I'm like,
we're scrolling through Tinder. And we're like looking at him like, oh, she's kind of cute. I'm going to swipe right. And your brain's like, no, based on the data, she doesn't seem compatible to you. We're going to go ahead and swipe left. We're swiping right on this one. Like, no, I don't think, trust us. It's best for you because everything lines up perfectly for your brain.
Right. Yeah. Or like your boss saying like, oh, I see you almost just had a little crushy crush and you controlled that. So good job. We give you a bonus.
We're giving you a performance bonus. It reminds me of Servant, the show Servant on Apple Plus, which was phenomenal. Like their whole brain, they're just like they're in the office, they're being controlled. Here's your earbuds.
Show.
Here's your earbuds that we gave you for work to control your mind.
Right. And she says you go home with your work issued brain
Earbuds.
pods.
Yeah.
No, not earbuds.
Oh.
Brain pods. It's inside of you and you take them home. And then I'm sure they're not going to spy on your brainwaves at home.
Oh, of course
when
not.
you walk your dog or what have you. Now,
Think about it. Talk about getting access to your own brainwaves. Think of all the self-diagnosing that's going to be going on. Like, I better text my doc. This doesn't look normal. I'm going to sideswipe and text my brain surgeon and be like, hey, does this look normal? Please, I'm freaking out. Oh, no, that's perfectly normal.
Yeah. The average toddler, their brain makes 30 requests per minute. And I think it's like not that much less. I can't remember the adult. But like, how are you going to focus on anything when your brain is just like constantly moving your screen around? But this is Duke University's researcher, Nita Farahany, and she says that these technologies already exist. They have not been put together like this, but they exist. And we know that, she's not just talking about wearables. She's talking about something more than that. Watch.
Near-term future is these devices being the primary way in which we interact with all of the rest of our technology. Rather than a mouse or a keyboard, you can simply swipe with your mind. Move your hand more seamlessly when you're in VR or AR. Use your brain as the way in which you interact with all of the rest of your technology, which is an exciting and promising future, but also a potentially scary one, a transformative one that will change the way that we interact with other people, and even how we understand ourselves.
Potentially scary, but she just kind of blows that off. Although I will say that sometimes I use a Kindle, like an old school Kindle, and I tuck myself in at night like this, and then I don't want to, and I get cold, and I don't want to actually push.
So you would love to use your eye to blink?
If I could do it like this to change pages, maybe, but that's...
Can you imagine how popular this is going to be for gamers because they no longer have to stop eating chips to play games?
Yeah,
I suppose.
But I mean, yes, of course, there's a lot of positives, right? The idea of if someone who doesn't have
Who's physically
impaired, and can't do that, so they could use like gestures or something like that. So we already see that technology, but far more nefarious things can come of this.
Oh, yes, because guess who's one of the main companies working on this? Facebook, because they've shown they can be so responsible with our data. Watch.
Neural interfaces, when they work right, and we still have a lot of work to go here.
Facebook Reality Labs.
So if you send a control to your muscle saying, I want to move my finger, it starts in your brain, it goes down your spine through motor neurons, and this is an electrical signal. So you should be able to grab that electrical signal on the muscle and say, oh, okay, the user wants to move their finger.
What is it like to feel like pushing a button without actually pushing it? And that could be as simple as, hey, I just want to move this cursor up or move it left. Well, normally I would do that by actually moving. But here, you're able to move that cursor left. And it's because you and a machine agreed which neurons mean left and which neurons mean right. You're in this constant conversation with the machine.
This new form of control, it requires us to build an interface that adapts to you and your environment.
Oh my God.
Okay, now I just want to point out to you, in case you missed it, it's not the person moves the finger, it's the user is moving the finger further pushing me towards my transhumanist theories. Okay, you're not a person, you're a user. You're a, well, I mean, if we really use the inclusive language, you're not a person with a finger, you're a finger haver.
Oh my God.
This is the reality of Tron. The users and all that,
Yeah,
remember?
Yeah, or I saw some people saying Cylons. This is like Cylon.
Yeah.
Or Minority Report. I mean, they're basically describing like as it's a good thing, every dystopian novel kind of wrapped into one that we've ever read. They're like, hey, this sounds like it's like those weren't instruction manuals. They were cautionary tales, everyone.
Right. She says the main dangers in the workplace is worker fatigue. Of course, you think of, train accidents or car accidents. And she says now in places like Shanghai, workers are already allowing employers to scan their brains to make sure they're not too tired to go to work. So listen to what she says about these types of concerns, though, like why this maybe might be a concern.
Okay, you might be shuddering, right? That was certainly my first reaction when I discovered that we are tracking brainwave activity in the workplace and that we can do it at all. But I believe we need to have a much more nuanced conversation about it, because I think done well, neurotechnology has extraordinary promise. Done poorly, it could become the most oppressive technology we've ever introduced in a wide scale across society. We still have the chance to make it right.
She doesn't go into how. Like,
I love
let's all promise not to use this for nefarious ways. She doesn't say that.
No, I love the idea that, well, if a company would do something nefarious, it could be the worst thing that ever struck humanity. No companies would do that, though, right? Like Facebook, Google. I mean, we already know how nefarious these companies have been.
Yes.
Right? So why would we give them any rope to hang themselves with on this?
Yeah, but I'm sure they'll get this right.
You brought up the reference.
Right.
You brought up the reference last week of Wall-E. Like, this is how they will sell it, because they'll sell it on the convenience of it. They'll sell the beauty of it, like the good side of it, but everybody will ignore the potential bad side, like they do everything else, because people are lazy. They want things to be easy. They want it to just be instant results. So people will buy into this.
Yeah. But I mean, your brain, transplanted into your brain. What's that Apple TV show?
Servant.
No,
Servant.
Not Servant.
No, I don't know.
The one where they turn off the daytime and nighttime selves. Servant.
Human?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Severance.
Severance. That's what the, yeah.
Oh, Severance, yeah.
Yeah, Servant is the Ron Weasley show that I don't watch with you because I'm afraid of it. Okay.
But I like it.
Another use case she talks about is decoding your ATM passwords. So how does that work if your brain knows it but doesn't know it? Like, you don't know you know it, but the technology can talk to your brain where your brain knows it.
So it's like, okay, I can't remember these things. Like, I couldn't remember my Amazon password or whatever. But thankfully, I've got this new thing that I can just let go or whatever. Or it's just ethereal.
But that's brain augmentation. That's something different than like reaching into the depths of your brain. You know, when something, you see me do it all the time, something's on the tip of my tongue, I know the word and it's just not there. And so the technology would reach into what's there. Or am I putting an external hard drive onto my brain to store things that I don't need? Those are questions.
Well, that's what
answers.
I was going to say. It's more like a folder system, because we have so much of our brain that we don't access, but those things would be able to. So they just create folders in there, and they go in and grab the information and say, anything we don't want them to actually remember, we'll put over here. Anything we want them to remember, we'll put over here.
Now, she talks about something that she'd like for all of us to start using, cognitive ergonomics. It's not like, does your mouse give you carpal tunnel? It's like, does your workplace make you a miserable, stressed out fool, basically? And can we change that by like, don't interact with Joey and, bring your lunch more days and I don't know, wear more, sensible clothes. Like, this brain technology is going to make it so that you have to take regular breaks and that kind of thing. As in, let's just make sure it's all comfortable for your brain when you go to work. She says even healthy people will just hand over access to their brains in pursuit of cognitive ergonomics. Take a look.
And something that I think companies should be experimenting with. And that is the use of the technology to make the workplace a more responsive workplace to the individual worker. One where humans and robots and AI work seamlessly together in order to optimize a better and healthier workplace. This idea of cognitive ergonomics is what I think is the future of the healthier workplace, a place that adapts to our abilities, slows down when we need to slow down, and helps us to reset so that we don't suffer from endless cycles of stress. Surveillance of the human brain can be powerful, helpful, useful. It also has a dystopian possibility of being used to exploit and bring to the surface our most secret self, focusing in the world of wearable technology as opposed to implanted technology. And I do believe that within many of our lifetimes, we'll see healthy people using implanted brain technology as well.
No, I do not want that. And she says, you know, and she provides it there as like, you know, we're afraid of robots taking our jobs. But if we implant things in our brains, then we work better with robots. Then it's like robots and people working together. And that's great, instead of robots as something to be afraid of, which again, another dystopic piece of fiction is the book Set My Heart to 5. If you've ever read it, it's fabulous book about like bots and humans living simultaneously together, and they cannot distinguish who is who. It's a hilarious book, but also insane. Like what we do not want.
Yeah.
What if though? Let me throw this out here for you. What if you could go to Amazon and you could say, "Oh wow, I really have wanted to read this book," and you just click a button and you've read it.
And that's like the Matrix.
Would you?
Like
right. Well, that's I was thinking
would you
like
get
this.
behind that?
Well, maybe. I don't know. Like, that's the interesting thing. Like, so if someone has like a depression, right, and then they're, instead of giving them drugs or whatever, they did some sort of an implant, right, where they are able to like tweak it so that you always, I don't know, you always feel happy, or you don't ever feel those feelings. And they're just like, well, we got this new brainwave technology and you're going to always feel happy. You're going to be a positive person. You went from always being dark and thinking awful thoughts to now you're happy. Without drugs, brain candy. And we've got this thing plugged into your head. And and by the way, you now know how to speak Spanish.
And I mean,
and fly an F-16.
And that's what we now define as a human experience.
Right. And so this idea of transhumanism, right? Like, what does it mean to be human anymore? Like, if you're just connected with a robot and you're plugged in and you don't go outside and you're just, they become download programs into you.
You wake up in the morning. Yeah, you wake up in the morning and you're getting out of bed and you're like, okay, what do I want to be today? I think I want to be a martial artist. All right, boom, boom, go out and be martial, and then you're out in the yard and you know all kung fu and everything. Like
the neighbor's always looking at it like, what is Clayton doing today? He's over there doing jujitsu.
Yeah.
Now he knows how to do curling. When did he learn curling?
It's like the movie Phenomenon with John Travolta, you know, where he would like learn Portuguese on the way to go help somebody. You know, so it's like instantly there.
Yeah. So this is some crazy shit.
One thing that's one thing that's kind of missing from this and is very, very telling is in all of this stuff that they're talking about here, they're like, think about it this way. Who is it actually for? In every reference they made who this is for, it is for authoritarian figures. It is for bosses. It is for corporations. It is for legal authorities. It is not for the user. They're not saying it will make the worker's life better. They're like, you can better manage your company if you can better manage your employees. They're saying, like, we can catch criminals better if we can read their brainwaves. At no point in any of that did they say people's lives are going to be improved by this. It's a bottom line authoritarian message.
Yeah.
And they're doing it in a way that they don't even they're not even apologetic about it. They're like just nonchalantly like, yep, control your workers. Sorry.
Even when she said the shudder part, she's like, I know it's scary and I shuddered when I first saw it, but think how we can manage the workplaces. Like, you're all bosses. You're all rich. You paid $50,000 to be here. Yeah. So this is about how we can control people. That's a great point.
Imagine if your house cleaners didn't even talk to you the whole time they were there. They just did their job and left.
And they're programmed to clean the stuff that you're afraid to tell them to clean.
Because you can upload. Yeah. Clean the oven this time.
Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.